So when you book a flight, what are you thinking about? Your destination, right? The beach, that business meeting? Not the actual nuts and bolts of the plane. We see airlines as the companies that fly the planes, simple enough. But lurking just behind that ticket price is this massive, hidden industry with just one job, keeping those planes safely up in the air. Okay, so we've all seen this, right? It's a total marvel of modern engineering. But keeping this thing airworthy, well, that's a monumental task. It goes way beyond the pilots and the cabin crew. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the hidden machinery that makes all of this possible. I mean, come on. Who hasn't thought about it? Starting your own airline. It sounds kind of glamorous, right? Soaring through the clouds, connecting cities, building a cool brand. On the surface, it seems pretty straightforward. But what does it actually take to get off the ground? All right, so let's actually do this. Let's dive in by looking at a real-world blueprint. We're going to use a case study, a startup airline called SkyQuest Airways, to see what that dream really looks like on paper.
So, say hello to SkyQuest. They spotted a gap in the market in their hometown of Enid, Oklahoma, and their whole mission is to offer really high-quality, reliable, tech-savvy travel, starting right there in their own community. It's your classic startup story, really.
Okay, so you have the dream, but every dream needs a plan, right? In the business world, that's your blueprint. So let's break down the key parts of SkyQuest's strategy and see how they plan to turn this vision into a profitable reality. So who's actually going to be on these planes? Well, SkyQuest isn't trying to be for everyone. They've zeroed in on the Enid community. We're talking local residents, business travelers, and even military folks from the nearby Air Force Base. See? That's a really smart, laser-focused approach.
But here's the big question. How does a tiny startup even begin to compete? Well, SkyQuest knows they're not going to beat a giant like American Airlines on the size of their network. No way. Instead, they're carving out a niche with better, more personalized service and slicker tech, positioning themselves as the go-to local alternative.
And here it is, the price tag for that dream, a cool $2.7 million, which I know is a ton of money, but for a whole airline, it almost feels doable, you know? That's the cash they figure they need for everything, equipment, staff, the whole shebang, for the first 3 months. And if they pull it off, here's the payoff. The plan shows them being profitable right from year one, growing to over $1.3 million in net income by the 5th year. The blueprint looks solid, the dream seems ready for takeoff. But, and this is a big but, this is where our story takes a very sharp turn.
See, a business plan, that's one thing. The day-to-day grind of actually running an airline, that's something else entirely. It turns out the biggest challenge isn't just flying the planes, it's keeping them flying safely.
And that brings us to the world of MRO, maintenance, repair, and overhaul. This is the catch-all term for the relentless, highly regulated work that's required to make sure every single plane is safe to fly. Let me be clear, this isn't optional. This is the absolute bedrock of the entire aviation industry. And this image, this just says it all, doesn't it? On the one hand, you have the sleek, customer-facing dream, and on the other, the gritty industrial reality, a huge hangar where an engine is literally stripped down piece by piece. This is where the real, hidden costs of flying are buried.
So let's really break this down, because maintenance doesn't even begin to cover it. You've got your A check, a regular inspection that can take up to 260 man-hours. But then, you get to the D check. Just look at this. Every 6 to 10 years, the entire aircraft is basically taken apart and reassembled. We're talking up to 50,000 man-hours. That's just mind-boggling.
And here's the kicker. This is the aha moment. The estimated cost for just one of those D checks is over $1 million. Let that sink in. A single routine maintenance procedure costs more than 1/3 of their entire startup fund. Suddenly, that $2.7 million dream is looking a whole lot more fragile.
And you know what? That $1 million check, that's not some crazy outlier. That's the norm. And when you multiply that cost across every single plane in the sky, you start to realize that MRO isn't just a line item for airlines. It's a colossal global industry all on its own.
I mean, just look at this breakdown. An absolutely staggering 60% of this entire market is just for the engines. Those incredibly complex machines are the heart of the plane, and, well, they're the heart of the MRO business too. The rest is made up of things like the airframe and other components. So what are we talking about in terms of dollars?
In 2021, the MRO market was worth over $68 billion, and it's on track to hit $117 billion by 2031. This isn't some niche sector. It's a global economic powerhouse humming along just out of sight.
And this isn't just happening in one place. This growth is explosive, and it's happening all over the world. Take India, for example. Their MRO market is expected to more than double in the next decade alone, jumping from $1.7 to $4 billion. It just shows you the insane global demand for these services.
Okay, so what's the big takeaway here? The crucial point is that for a small airline like SkyQuest to even have a chance, it needs access to this huge global MRO ecosystem. You see, you can't just have the shiny airlines. You have to have the entire support structure behind them. And countries are practically racing to build it.
And why are countries so eager to build this stuff? Well, it's a massive strategic advantage. If you have a strong MRO industry at home, it means lower costs and faster repairs for your local airlines. But it's bigger than that. It means creating high-skilled jobs, attracting foreign investment, and grabbing a piece of that multi-billion-dollar global pie.
And you know, there are a couple of different playbooks for how to do this. You've got Singapore, which basically went for the future aerospace city model. They rolled out the red carpet for the biggest names in the business, like Rolls-Royce and Airbus, and focused on high tech. Then you have Malaysia, which took more of a from-the-ground-up approach, using national plans and government partnerships to build their own domestic industry.
But, and this is important, it is incredibly hard to pull off. First, you need a boatload of cash up front. You have to compete with hubs that are already established. Then there's the brain drain, keeping your skilled engineers from leaving for better pay elsewhere. And maybe the biggest hurdle of all, you have to get certified by global bodies like the FAA in the US or ESA in Europe. That process alone is long and unbelievably complex.
So this brings us full circle, right back to where we started, with the dream of an airline like SkyQuest in Oklahoma. But now we see that their success isn't just about their business plan. It's about this invisible, globe-spanning, multi-billion-dollar industrial machine. And it just leaves you with this one kind of huge question. Can that small local dream, can SkyQuest's vision, ever really sync up with the massive, complex reality it absolutely depends on to even get off the ground?